Sexual orientation is a multifaceted aspect of personality that defines a person's emotional, romantic, or sexual attraction to individuals of a particular sex or gender. It is a significant element of our identity, which can have a substantial impact on our lives, relationships, career, and even mental health. What determines sexual orientation? Sexual orientation develops under the influence of biological, psychological, and social factors. Many scientists believe that genetics, early hormonal development, cultural influences, and personal experiences play important roles in shaping orientation. Sexual orientation is not a choice but an aspect of identity that is often established before a person even becomes aware of their sexuality. Main types of sexual orientation. Here are 5 of the most common types of sexual orientation: heterosexuality, homosexuality, bisexuality, pansexuality, and asexuality. Heterosexuality. Heterosexuality is the sexual, emotional, and romantic attraction to people of the opposite sex. This is the most common type of orientation, often referred to as traditional. Heterosexual individuals typically form relationships with people of the opposite sex to whom they feel emotional and physical attraction. Heterosexual orientation has a strong cultural influence in many societies, where it is often seen as the norm. However, it's important to remember that even if this orientation is the most socially accepted in some cultures, it does not mean that other orientations are wrong or abnormal. Homosexuality. Homosexuality refers to sexual and emotional attraction to individuals of the same sex. Homosexual men are usually called gay, and homosexual women are called lesbians. Homosexual individuals feel romantic and sexual attraction to people of the same sex and may form stable and deep relationships with them. Modern society increasingly accepts homosexuality, though it was considered taboo not long ago. Psychologists and doctors emphasize that homosexuality is a natural expression of human sexuality and does not require treatment or change. Bisexuality. Bisexuality is the attraction to both men and women. Bisexual individuals may have romantic or sexual feelings toward people of any sex. Bisexuality encompasses a wide range of experiences. Some people may feel a stronger attraction to one gender, while others may have equal interest in both. Bisexual individuals often face dual discrimination, both from heterosexual society and within the LGBTQ+ community. This is called bisexual stigma, and to support these individuals, it's important to understand that bisexuality is as authentic an orientation as any other. Pansexuality. Pansexuality is the sexual attraction to people regardless of their gender or sex. People with a pansexual orientation may feel attracted to individuals of any gender identity, including non-binary or transgender individuals. For pansexual individuals, a person's inner world and personality are more important than physical characteristics or gender. Pansexuality also emphasizes the idea that orientation can be fluid and go beyond the traditional male and female binary. Asexuality. Asexuality refers to a lack of or very low level of sexual attraction to any gender. Asexual individuals may not experience sexual interest at all, but this does not mean they lack romantic or emotional feelings. Some asexual people form close and romantic relationships, though the physical side of such relationships may be less important to them. For asexual individuals, it is important that society understands that their lack of sexual interest is not an illness or deviation but a natural characteristic of their personality. How is sexual orientation formed? Sexual orientation develops under various factors. Scientists identify several main components that may influence this process. Biological factors. Some researchers believe that genes play a role in forming sexual orientation. Studies have shown that certain genetic factors may increase the likelihood of homosexuality or bisexuality. Hormones, particularly during prenatal development, may also affect the formation of orientation. Psychological factors. Personal experience, emotional bonds, and relationships we build with people can impact our romantic preferences. However, this does not mean that orientation is dependent on upbringing or environment. Social and cultural factors. Although sexual orientation is formed on an individual level, the culture we live in can influence how we perceive our orientation. In societies where various types of orientation are accepted, people find it easier to openly discuss their feelings. In more traditional cultures, where certain types of orientation are taboo, individuals may find it difficult to openly acknowledge their identity. Can sexual orientation change? The question of whether sexual orientation can change throughout life is complex and still actively researched. However, we have some data that helps to understand how and why sexual orientation may change or appear differently over time. The fluidity of sexual orientation. Sexual orientation is sometimes seen as a more fluid aspect of personality, particularly among women, as some studies suggest. This means that, for some people, sexual orientation may change over time depending on circumstances or personal experiences. Studies confirm that some individuals may experience attraction to different genders throughout their lives and later return to previous preferences. Sexual fluidity at a young age. During adolescence and early adulthood, sexuality often undergoes phases of formation and exploration, where individuals experiment or try to understand their preferences. This is a natural stage of development, and teenagers may discover new feelings that may later stabilize or change. Impact of life experience. Some individuals may change orientation due to specific life circumstances or significant emotional events, such as a new romantic experience, a breakup, or a strong influence from close surroundings. However, even when sexual orientation changes somewhat, it's important to remember that this is not the result of external pressure or a conscious choice. Fluid identity and pansexuality. For some individuals, particularly those who identify as pansexual or bisexual, sexual orientation may manifest more fluidly. For example, a person may feel a stronger attraction to one gender at a certain period of life, while at another period, their feelings may shift. Pansexual and bisexual individuals often mention that their attraction is more dependent on a person's personality than their gender, which allows them to remain open to various experiences. Changes in self-perception over time. Sometimes changes in sexual orientation may be related not to the feelings themselves but to how a person perceives and defines themselves. Discovering new aspects of sexuality and meeting people of different identities can lead to a rethinking of one's orientation or a broader view of romantic preferences. Are changes in sexual orientation normal? Yes, for some people, sexual orientation can be fluid, and this is entirely normal. Understanding that sexuality is a personal aspect that may manifest differently at different life stages helps to dispel stereotypes and accept the diversity of human experience. The impact of sexual orientation on mental health and social relationships. Sexual orientation can significantly affect mental health. It is important to note that the mental state of a person is negatively affected not by the orientation itself but by a lack of acceptance from society or close ones. Research shows that individuals with homosexual or bisexual orientation more frequently experience stress due to social prejudice and discrimination. They may be more vulnerable to depression, anxiety, or even isolation due to stigmatization. Therefore, support from society, family, and friends is crucial for the health and well-being of every person, regardless of their orientation. Supporting people regardless of their sexual orientation is essential for building a tolerant and healthy society. Accepting one's orientation and that of others helps reduce stress levels and maintain mental health. Share in the comments, what is your sexual orientation? What do you think about the diversity of orientations? In your opinion, how can we better support people in our society regardless of their orientation? Don't forget to subscribe for more interesting content about psychology.